Hey guys, I'm MG, and today we'll be looking at Dracula, which is a 1931 American pre-code supernatural horror film that was directed by Todd Browning and written by Garrett Ford, who was one of the writers for Frankenstein. This film is also based on the novel by Bram Stoker and the play by Hamilton Dean and John L. Balderston, both with the same names as this film. However, we don't have time for novels or plays, but we have time to review, so why don't we do that right now? This film is not good necessarily, but decent I suppose. I think my biggest issue with this film is the pacing. It's very slow, with most of the runtime being a complete slog to get through, since it doesn't feel like there's much happening in the film, with the characters just sitting around and talking. Those talking scenes do enhance the narrative, so I'll give them that, but not nearly enough for me to be intrigued by them. Now, those scenes weren't bad, and they have their purpose in the film, but I wish that there was more substance in them, and maybe I would have been entertained a lot more, but I instead felt kind of bored during those scenes, and even the other scenes weren't that great. They were alright I suppose, like the climax was kind of engaging, but not really any scene in this film stands as Universal's best. And most of the characters don't really help those scenes either. Dracula was quite intriguing to watch, with a sinister presence, amazing performance from Bela Lugosi, and he does feel like a huge threat to the characters, with them always mentioning him at least, but his death scene was just a sound effect, which was disappointing. I mean, even the other killers had bodies, but with Dracula, we only hear him scream, and the scream sounds kind of fake, which is not really nice to hear. Renfield was probably the best character in the film, with Dwight Fry, who we have seen in Frankenstein, delivering every iteration of his character to perfection, from a calm innocent man to a crazy madman. And every time we see him on screen, Dwight Fry really nails his performance, which makes me really enjoy Renfield as a character, and his death scene was pretty great as well, with a good staircase stunt. So these two characters are great. Everyone else isn't though. Mina was just a typical damsel in distress with nothing really going on for her character outside of Helen Chandler's performance, who does a great job showing her character's attitude, and I liked her scene with Lucy, with where they both get to be silly. But the silliness is gone really quickly and makes Mina nothing more than a damsel in distress. John was really bland, with no personality outside of protecting Mina, but David Manners was alright in his acting. Van Helsing was just okay, with a good scene of him technically fighting with Dracula, and Edward Grant Sloan, who we've seen in Frankenstein, does a solid job with his acting. But outside of that, I don't really care about the character too much. Dr. Seuss was really boring and unmemorable, with a good performance from Herbert Bunston, but that's about it. Also, this film's lack of special effects is just absurd. I know it has a low budget, and we do see a bat multiple times, which was fine, but this film's budget was bigger than The Invisible Man, and you know how much special effects were shown in that film, so maybe if we could have seen a wolf in this film, that would be neat, but whatever. And there are a few plot holes, like how did no one hear the flower lady scream instantly, or how did only the main characters hear Mina screaming? So yeah, if this film had more substance and special effects, with well written characters and less drawn out pacing, then I think I would have liked this film a lot more, but it still has some good stuff. The sets were really well made, especially with the castle looking pretty impressive for 1931. The special effects that we have here look pretty solid, even though it is slightly dated, but not much. The first 20 minutes were pretty decent, with it setting up the film's tone in a clever way, and having Dracula and Renfield in it, which was fun. The sound mixing for this film is honestly really good. I guess it was a little too loud for when the characters were screaming, but it still works really well, even better than Frankenstein and Invisible Man. The cinematography was pretty strong with great shots that established the setting in a really compelling way. Overall, this film isn't the Universal's best film ever, but I would still say it's worth a watch, so you can see how the studio started out, so not bad. 6.4 out of 10. Goodbye everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye.